Okay, so I decided to make another video. It's 9:20 p.m. It is March, I think it's March 19th. It is March 19th. It's Wednesday. And so I was working on my newsletter and I was working on my video for my newsletter. I did go to the store today, and then later on this evening, I wasn't planning on buying anything this evening. I walked up to the Dollar General just because I was bored. Like, I just wanted to get out of the house for a few minutes. I was just so incredibly bored in my house, right? So, I just kind of browsed around and saw, some cute stuff. I really am not in any mood to buy, and I know that I'm not working right now either, but I just want to see and get out of the house, and I realize how, extremely bored I am. Like, I do need intensity, you know what I mean? And I think, you know, um, I'm constantly thinking about the stuff that's, surreal art, wanting to like jump into it, because I find everything in my life just really, really dull. I just want things to be more exciting. Anyway, but I was thinking about how close I am to this person that I know as CB Braganza, and in all of my behavior traits, the things that I do and the things that I think about. Um, but it is, it's interesting to know that there's some of these people that are a part of this soul tribe that we must have lived together at some point, knew each other at some point, or our lives overlapped at some point in time. So it's kind of interesting, when you think of it that way, you know. Yeah, it's pretty deep. But yeah, I really enjoy, that whole connection, and I'm quite fascinated by my past lives because, I know CB Braganza, working and being, it seems as though he was something of a social reformer in his own way. And I think he was probably pushed to be in that situation. I've never, like, made any big issues about, anything really. I always kind of laid low, but the whole story. So, I believe that, CB Braganza has dealt with these sort of battles with these same groups of people, or individuals, within a group or whatever, mainly because of the religious thing. And I know that the Mormons have been after C.B. Braganza, or, didn't like him. And, I know that Mormons were always into bloodlines and trying to exalt certain bloodlines over others. I remember that rhetoric, and all that stuff. I'm hearing about it, reading about it, and all that other stuff. So, I understand it is about bloodlines, and, it's unfortunate, but, like, I'm so over it. You know what I mean? You know, it's a matter of control of on certain people's side. So I'm not like bagging on the Mormons right now, and I'm kind of, I don't really want to bag on them at all, because I was writing about this whole issue in my newsletter, and which are going to, like, kind of link to other videos. Like, there's a private video or something like that I linked into it. I don't really want to go too deeply into that whole situation anymore. I'm more trying to find things that are going to interest me outside of this box that I was forced into. And I didn't appreciate it. I don't want it. I don't like it. I don't like how, my life is so limited, and these people have placed me in situations where, I'm now uncomfortable to market myself. I'm now uncomfortable to deal with job interviews. And I understand, like, originally this was designed to destroy me. If you think about how intense my targeting has been, growing up, even going back to grade school onward, I was someone, this King Solomon was not somebody that these people really wanted to deal with. It seems as though they resented who I was, mainly because of my spiritual background. Yet, like, I really do find it amazing that, so many religions were, followers of C.B. Braganza, adapted to C.B. Braganza, but never wanted to give him credit, which is the same shit that we're going through right now, in 2025. So it's like, I have to, basically, I have to live a life of, feeling extremely bored, in my life, because of somebody who felt entitled to squash me out. because he had ties with this Mormon church and wanted to, and I wasn't even interested in trying to propagate religion. I was interested in like just going on about my life. And see, I resent religion entering into things like workforce and stuff like that. And I know it's been the undercurrent for a very long time, and people normalized it. They normalize it. They normalize, these sort of things that are, illegal, and then they rally for stupid things because they don't like the whole idea of the removal of DEI. Okay, they did this because this whole thing, I believe, started off of me being a target, and there were other people who were targeted, right? But because they were so fixated on this agenda of subjugating women, right? And creating this sort of utopia that is very ideal for, like, for example, Mormons. I know that Mormon men, at one time practiced polygamy. I know that King Solomon practiced polygamy. It was all about population and everything. But, some men have, it appeals to them, not just so much for the idea of population. It is, extremely pleasing to men's ego to feel as though they can possess women. Now, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, sexuality is very deep. And, I can go deeper into this, and I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just getting to the heart of the matter, okay? And I do know that there has been people who have practiced polygamy, and my God, I'm really, really onto this subject. I can't help it. I'm all by myself, so I don't really have anybody to sit here and like be a sounding board and have conversations. But when I think about, some people who practice polygamy and they bring in children in the world and they're really not able to financially support them, such as, people who take advantage of the welfare system, knowing good and well that, they should be getting child support from the actual fathers, right? But the actual fathers are like, they're not on paper, and they're these people. And I understand, people work the system and everything else. Okay. I didn't list my son on my son's father on the birth certificate. I did it everything on my own. I left him off for good reason. Okay. But what's going on is there's a lot of people who Mormons who have milked the system and have supported their polygamous lifestyle. Now, I know the modern day Church of Jesus Christ, they claim not to support polygamy or whatever, but they were still, connected to this human trafficking, which I think is very odd. I do know that, people's marriages have declined over the last, I would say, 25 so many years. And that's not just in Mormonism. I would say it's pretty much everywhere. I know that I'm looking back in history, and, I could sit here and analyze my parents' marriage, and I don't really think it was ideal. I think it was actually quite destructive for them as well as the children that were involved in it, right? Because we never really saw any good, we didn't get really good examples. Nobody really disciplined us. It was more like people taking their anger out on us and blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, I get, people's fear, especially when you think about this white race of group of people who, when I think about their connection with this particular alien race who was adamant about keeping this white race going. And, the thing is that, by subjecting a black woman is not going to keep your race going. But what will keep your race going is if you create some sort of harmony between the male and the female species, and then perhaps maybe have some sort of understanding between the males and females, so where there's not this feeling of the need to subjugate women. Maybe people will be more harmonious. I mean, like I said, I'm not white, I'm not Mormon, I'm not any of these things, okay? But I'm just saying is it always seems as though there's always got to be some sort of ism in everything. You know what I mean? And like, even if you take away like the issue of race, okay, so we move the race issue, but we have these white people bickering over, I'm a male and I'm a female, and now you're taking away my, this sort of stuff. Okay, it's like always some sort of ism, at the end of the day. But the thing is, like, that's not really my problem. But I'm suffering from it because I'm King Solomon. You know what I mean? I'm King Solomon, and they were attacking my religious views, who I am as a person, which I'm very, very proud of. And, I never meant to, like I said, people know I didn't want to, get involved in any sort of argument or anything, but it bothered me because, these sort of competitions were, kind of like people were turning against me and acting everything that I've suffered. They wanted to reinforce the trauma. Like, for example, me being bullied in school. oh, Maria, she's not, she didn't go to a university and blah, 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 blah. Let's ignore her because now we're in a different class than she is. And this is what all this bullshit was about, right? And the thing is that I never saw myself like, somebody who would mingle with this upper, I never, I thought I was James Gordon and Mary Gordon's daughter, and that was it. Okay, I didn't know I was from, King Solomon or anything like that. I don't recall, any of that stuff. I always looked at my job as a rather humble job, really. I know it has become overblown, and the education's, I mean, to me, nothing makes any sense anymore, because a lot of it was kind of dumb in the first place, but then we also had somebody who was extremely competitive and cutthroat and wanted to like make me jump through hoops for jobs that I really didn't give a shit about, right? All because he wanted to feel some sort of sense of superiority. And now I'm just like, okay, wow. But unfortunately, I do find the workforce extremely disappointing, mainly because, it doesn't really give you what you put in. There was too much politics involved in it, too much of this, undercurrent of the matchmaking, too much of the, religions, intertwining in between, work structure. And it makes it almost impossible for anybody to survive under those sort of like, illegal operations. Um, I'm very upset that, this sort of stuff goes on, and that, I understand that when it came to the online platforms, I do hope that in the future more people will expand, the online platforms. And I do think that perhaps maybe this particular person wanted to create some sort of campaign as part of his ideal utopia as to who should and should not be considered worthy of being listened to. Like I said, you can observe all kinds of things and be in a position to share that experience. You don't need to have a degree to do such a thing, but it was a matter of classism. And most people that, have their 4-year degrees or more than that, I don't really look at them as somebody that is my intellectual equal for the most part. Most of the people that I have met, really, I would say, are not my intellectual equal. But this was a way of him trying to ostracize me and make me into someone who was always the other. And people helped him keep me in that position. And this is one of the reasons why I have such an issue with people. This is the reason why I can't forgive a lot of people. Because, when you add the whole issue of the whole, oh, I act like I'm serving God. What they're trying to do is they're trying to serve the Mormon church. And, I've known for a very long time that, most religions are full of shit. I understand that, connection to God really does have a lot to do with your morals. It has everything to do with your morals, really. But and that's not to say that, but this relates to how we live here on earth. And what you give in is what you get out. And very few people really do. And the thing when we talk about the Bible, about all these different bloodlines, writing, some of us wrote parts of the Bible, added our own contributions, our own spiritual experiences. This is what I'm coming to understand what this Bible is about, because I understand that King Solomon contributed to, a few books, but at least 3 books of the Bible. And so I think about, these other families that may have had their contributions and their views and their whatever, but these people were the kind of people who wanted to impose, you know what I mean? Feeling insecure about their own personal religion. And I understand a lot of people like to look at everything as a group participation. And because I've been an individual, and I believe in individualism as far as when it comes to real and spiritual enlightenment, I believe in being, completely sufficient in every aspect of my life. I don't believe that, okay, like for example, I believe in order for us to truly get the best out of this life, I myself feel as though it's necessary to step out that guideline, those boundaries, because not on purpose, okay? It is just by design, because I was created to be a object of hatred among these weird people. This cult group, okay? I was a Nazi experiment, and these people for the longest time saw me in one way, and this is what, we ended up with, And so, I don't know if maybe I even got this far in my past life, meaning like, did I ever get a chance to explain my side of the story. Have they, it seems as though they've always had the upper hand. I have always had to deal and battle this evil force that has been here. You know what I mean? It seems as though I did, because obviously you don't see my name attributed to any part of their religions. Right? But they're always quick to, and these people have raked in millions of dollars with their plastic religions. You know what I mean? And yet they're always attacking me. You know what I mean? And yet we have people who are on the sidelines who will be easily manipulated into membership. You know why? Because they're weak. And so this is why I do not like collectivism, or the promotion of the idea that collectivism is it. Because when anytime people are supporting or like trying to enforce this idea of collectivism, you are pretty much looking at something close to being a dictatorship. And I do believe that this man who was associated, Mr. Billionaire Boy, net worth billionaire boy, I do believe that, he was definitely one of those people who relied on the church. You know what I mean? And I know people have always looked at me like when I was younger, because they were so brainwashed to think that any church was like above question. And see, this is where the brainwashing comes in. Okay, it is God. It is the highest level, the deity, or the power, the universal forces that were the unseen power that people don't see is what should be feared. Okay, but yet they'll sit there and talk about, how they did this for their pastor and blah, blah. It's almost like pastor worship. You know what I mean? And they don't really care if any of their the doctrines are checked or not. It's just good enough if somebody says so. You know what I mean? Or whatever. You know what I mean? I just never had respect for organized religion, because I looked at most people like they didn't know what they were talking about. And I also hated the fact that they didn't think for themselves. And see, because nobody thought for themselves, they let this shit happen. The situation that we're in right now is because they let that happen. And why did they let that happen? Because they were ignorant. That's why. You know what I mean? But it's not like they can't be held accountable, because, like, I remember making those videos, and I do know that this was circulated mostly through the Mormon Church, and that this entire county saw my videos, at least the county. And I do know that my newsletter has been gone worldwide. So it's like, once again, the Mormon Church wants to absorb that, and that's my work. I deserve to know that. I deserve to have my own, people that I'm connected to. And see, what you did was wrong. You absorbed something that you had no right to. And see, what made you think so? The thing is that they were promoting this whole idea of Christian, what do you call it? Kind of like, I did a video about this, like the Christian Dominion, Christian Dominion. Yeah, I think that's what it was called. I did like 2 videos, follow-up videos about it. It's about, some people who believe that, because they're Christian, they're entitled. They're entitled to it. Like, I remember there was a time, I believe it was shortly after I left Murray Family Farms, they wanted to prove that they were Christian, so they were getting all these entitlements, and they were because they were in the Christian club. And I didn't even recall any previous conversation about it. It was just like something that they were like observing me, wanted to pick on me. So they were using this whole thing about, well, we're Christians, and so we're getting all these entitlements, including employment. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, this is the reason why people like me hate working with these morons. You know why? Because these are the kind of people that drop the ball. These are the kind of people who talk about, I love Jesus in the middle of a job interview. Okay, it's worthless. You either process this work or you don't. It's like I feel like I'm somebody who actually works. And you got these people, and what it is it's not that these people are actually deserving of this. It's the fact that they are doing something that is political undercurrent. Okay, that they benefit from, that I cannot respect. You know what I mean? While I really do put in the work. So what the Mormon Church did to me was, you undermine something, and I feel as though I was abused by the Mormon Church. I was abused by the Mormon Church, as well as, Mr. Whatever Boy. And like I said, what made a CEO of 2 companies feel as though he had that sort of entitlement? What kind of hall monitor brainwashing did he go through? And it must be religious. You know what I mean? This whole idea of, entitlement. Oh, this is a part of our blessing to make other people whatever subservient to us because we're the rulers. Where do you think that? I mean, I honestly do not believe you will never be superior. And it's not about me being saying that I'm superior. It's just that, I remember going to school with people like you. I remember going to dealing with people like you, working with people. Oh my God, you guys are a fucking nightmare. And when I say you guys, I'm talking about these people who have this in their head that I'm a Christian and that you guys are in some way aligned with God. You guys are filth. Period. Okay, and it's shocking to them because in their mind, all this time they thought that in order to be a spiritual person who is worthy of blessings, it's like they felt as though, oh, I give my tithes, my tithes, I show up, I'm a Christian by affiliation. You are nothing because you do not behave accordingly. Your life, the life that I see that is lived by these people, I'm appalled by. I never wanted what these people had. Not when I was working at Murray Family Farms, not now. Never. You know what I mean? I don't ever want to be a sheep. Okay? If I was a sheep, I would have been dead by now, which is something that they really did want. Okay? I believe in the truth. You know what I mean? And I'm proud of who I am. I'm very proud to be King Solomon. Very, very proud. And, I'm sorry that I keep going off on this, but it's just like, you keep going down the rabbit hole. It was the Rex Laverne thing. It was the billionaire boy thing. And it's like, I feel as though, my life has been just completely wasted by this wicked Nazi system. You know what I mean? Because I have talents and I have drive, and it's very frustrating. Like the 9 to 5, somebody who has drive and ambition, such as me, okay, maybe drive and ambition didn't look like going to a 4-year university, but I had a lot of problems, you know what I mean? But what I've shown is that I can overcome them and I can exceed people who actually did go to their 4-year degree. I know more about things than they do. And I get mistreated all the time. And it's totally fine with these Mormon people. You know why? Because they feel as though they're blessed. No, you are wicked and you rip people off. And then you subjugate and you control people and you ruin their lives. And if they try to get out, then you sit there, you gang stalk them, blacklist them, force them to go back to people's husbands and whatever. And now it wasn't enough that you were abusing white people. You want to sit here and try to get the other races too. Because now I see a lot of different races in the Mormon publications. I remember when Mormons, they come from Nazis. Okay. So what the original part of the Nazi thing was. It's like they didn't want to have anything to do with mud races. Now I see all the mud races hanging out at the Mormon church. And what my back of my mind is? Well, you know what? Money talks. Those motherfucking hypocrites. Because I remember the good old days when that guy David Willis hit me in the fucking face. Oh, I remember who David Willis was. He reminded me of Baby Huey. I don't know what the fuck they cloned him out of because he had this mouth that was like this. All right. Oh, I remember that when he fucking hit me. And I remember he was a Mormon too. And he was evil as fuck. You think I don't remember those things? Oh, I do remember. And it's made me learn. It made me learn exactly who the real wicked people are on this earth. Yes, the Mormon church is wicked. If you guys can get out of your membership, I suggest you bail out now. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video, and I will be back with another video sometime later. I had to say that, man. I was so pissed. Okay, I got to go. Bye.